I've noticed we're losing subscribers. Not the YouTube kind, but the kind that swore they'd be in my life forever. Funny how that works. One day you're surrounded by people who claim to love you, and the next, you're watching them walk away like you were just another phase in their lives. By the way, if you're here, do me a favor, subscribe. It's free, and unlike some people in my life, you won't regret sticking around. I stared at my phone, the call already ended, yet the words still rang in my ears. Selfish. Dramatic. Exaggerating. My own parents had just told me that I was making a big deal out of nothing, after they had stolen $155,000 from me. I tried to reason with my dad in the days that followed, hoping he would be the rational one. But no, he doubled down. According to him, I was overreacting. My mother echoed the same sentiment. Why couldn't I just be happy for my sister? And Emma? My dear little sister, the one this whole mess was about? She acted like I had personally handed her the golden ticket to paradise. She gushed over how thrilled she was for her dream vacation. She thanked me for helping her graduate, completely oblivious, or worse, indifferent, to the fact that this gift was nothing short of theft. I thought I was losing my mind. Was I being irrational? Was I really the bad guy here? No. I needed to do something. Fast. I picked up the phone and called my credit card company. There had to be a way to dispute this. Surely this was fraud. But when the agent on the other end reviewed my case, my stomach dropped. Sir, your parents used your card details, which you had willingly shared with them. Unfortunately, this does not qualify as fraud. I couldn't believe it. Because I had trusted them, because I had given them access for emergencies, I was now legally responsible for a $155,000 debt. My credit card was maxed out, my financial future in shambles, and my own family had turned against me for even thinking about fighting back. I had two choices. Pay the insane amount, keep the peace, and let my parents and sister walk all over me forever. Fight back, even if it meant completely blowing up my relationship with my family. I wrestled with the decision, torn between the financial nightmare and the emotional weight of betraying, standing up to, my own flesh and blood. But deep down, I knew what I had to do. I called the credit card company again. This time I pushed harder. I explained that while my parents had my details, I never authorized this purchase. After some back and forth, they finally agreed to investigate the charges as potential fraud. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Then, I did something that sent a shockwave through my family. I called for a family Zoom meeting. When the call started, I took a deep breath. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to make it clear that what they did was not okay. I want to talk about the vacation charges. I started. What you did was unacceptable. You stole from me. That's not up for debate. The reaction was instant. My parents scoffed. My mother rolled her eyes. Oh, come on. We raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head. The least you could do is support your sister's graduation trip. My sister gasped dramatically. I can't believe you're doing this. You always hated me, didn't you? You're jealous, that's what this is. You don't want me to be happy. Her words stung, but I stood firm. Emma, this isn't about jealousy. This is about basic respect. That money wasn't yours to take. You don't get to act like it was some gift from me. Then, for the first time, my father spoke. My usually quiet, level-headed dad, the one I had always hoped would see reason. We didn't think it was a big deal, he said, as if $155,000 was pocket change. We've always had access to your card in emergencies. We just figured, this one time it would be fine. I laughed bitterly. A luxury vacation is an emergency now? They didn't back down. Instead, they were furious that I had reported the charges. They refused to cancel the trip. My mother even accused me of ruining Emma's graduation gift. I ended the call exhausted but resolute. If they weren't going to do the right thing, I was going to make them. I reached out to a friend of mine, one who happened to be a lawyer. When I explained the situation, his response was blunt. This is fraud. What they did is illegal. You have grounds to press charges. And you know what? Maybe it was time they learned that family doesn't mean free money. The last time I updated, I was preparing to move for my master's program, cautiously rebuilding a relationship with Emma, and holding my parents at arm's length while attending family therapy. I thought I was finally closing the book on family drama, at least for a while. Life, however, had other plans. 5 years after my brother Chris and my ex-fiancée Karen betrayed me, I thought I had moved on completely. I had grieved, healed, and built a life where their names barely crossed my mind. But when my mother called me one evening with an urgent request, that entire chapter came crashing back into my reality. Chris had been in a terrible accident. A car crash left him in a coma with uncertain chances of waking up. My mother was devastated. But what she asked of me next left me speechless. She wanted me to step in as a father figure to Chris and Karen's child, the very child that was conceived from their betrayal. The shock of it all. I honestly thought it was a joke at first. A sick, twisted, awful joke. But no. She was serious. Mom argued that the child, Liam, was innocent in all of this. That he needed a strong male presence in his life now that his father was incapacitated. That family takes care of family, a phrase I had heard far too often when people excused toxic behavior. Karen had reached out to my mother, apparently distraught about raising Liam alone, and suggested that I should be the one to step in. She even had the audacity to claim that I was the only one who could do this properly, since I had once loved her and had so much potential to be a great father. I could barely breathe. Was this really happening? Did they seriously expect me to play dad to the son of the two people who shattered my life? The response they didn't expect. For a long moment, I just sat there on the phone, listening to my mother plead. Then I did something I should have done years ago. I laughed. Not out of amusement, but out of sheer disbelief. The absurdity of it all, the entitlement, the manipulation, it was laughable. And so I laughed. Then I simply said, no. Not, I'll think about it. Not, I'm sorry. Just no. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel a shred of guilt denying my mother's request. That no was a full stop. A wall. An iron gate shutting them out. My mother was stunned. Then came the guilt trip. She accused me of abandoning my family, of being selfish, of refusing to help an innocent child just to hold on to a grudge. When she realized I wasn't budging, she turned cruel. She called me bitter, vindictive, and even implied that this was why Karen had cheated on me, because I was a cold person. And that was the final nail in the coffin of our relationship. I told her as calmly as possible that I wasn't punishing a child, I was simply refusing to clean up their mess. That my role in Liam's life was non-existent, and that she needed to accept that. Then I hung up. Fallout and unexpected conversations. Within hours, my phone exploded with messages. Karen sent a long, rambling text about how she was struggling and how Chris would have wanted me to help. That he had always loved and respected me despite the mistakes they made. Mistakes. As if their choices were accidental rather than a long-term betrayal. My father, who had mostly stayed out of my personal matters, actually sent a short but surprising message. I know you won't do it and I don't blame you. But your mother won't let this go, so be prepared. It was the first time my father ever acknowledged my feelings on the matter, and for that I gave him credit. But that didn't mean I was about to reconsider. Emma, on the other hand, was furious when she found out. Not at me but at our parents. She called me immediately and said, I can't believe they asked you that. I knew Mom was bad, but this? It's disgusting. This was a defining moment for us. For years, Emma had been the golden child, the one who got everything handed to her, who never really saw how toxic our parents were. But this woke her up. She started opening up about her own struggles with them. How they constantly pressured her into things she didn't want. How they made her feel guilty for not being grateful enough. It was the first time I saw her not just as my sister, but as someone who had been manipulated in her own way. And for the first time I felt like she was truly on my side. Moving forward, without them. I haven't spoken to my mother since that call. My father has reached out once or twice, but only in neutral ways. Nothing about Chris, Karen, or Liam. I think he knows this is a line I will never uncross. Karen, thankfully, has stopped contacting me, though I suspect that's only because I made it abundantly clear that if she continued, I'd take legal action. Emma and I? We're closer than ever. She's been helping me pack for my move, and we've been talking more than we ever did before. It feels like, for the first time, we're actually family, one that isn't built on guilt or obligation but on mutual respect. As for me, I'm leaving soon for my master's program. I'm stepping into a future where I choose the people I surround myself with. Where I am not burdened by the weight of my family's mistakes. For the first time in years, I feel free. To anyone out there struggling with toxic family expectations, remember this. You don't owe anyone your peace. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. And most importantly, you have the right to walk away. So that's exactly what I'm doing. And it feels damn good. Looking back, the betrayal wasn't just about losing Karen to my own brother. It was about how my own family stood against me, how my mother defended the betrayal, and how I was made to feel like the villain for simply refusing to accept it. 5 years ago, just a few months before my wedding, Karen and Chris sat me down. My parents were there too. I could tell something was off the moment I walked in, but I never could have imagined what was about to happen. Karen held Chris's hand as she told me she was in love with him. That she couldn't marry me because she and Chris were expecting a child together. The words barely made sense at first. The woman I was supposed to marry. The woman I had built a future with. The woman who had stayed with me, all while hesitating, all while secretly growing feelings for my brother, was now telling me she had chosen him over me. My reaction was immediate. I refused to accept it. I told Karen to come with me, to leave with me, to fix this mistake. I was grasping at straws, but I couldn't just let go of the life I thought we were building. And then my mother spoke. She shut me down in front of everyone, making it clear that Chris and Karen would be together no matter what. That it was their choice and that I needed to just accept it. The fact that she endorsed this betrayal still astounds me to this day. At least my father had the decency to look ashamed, to attempt, however weakly, to comfort me. But my mother? She openly took their side. She told me that Karen was pregnant, and that I had no right to disturb her in such a delicate state. As if I was the one causing pain. As if I was the problem in all of this. She fought me tooth and nail, defending Chris and Karen at every turn, as if what they did was perfectly reasonable. She didn't care that I was hurting, that my world had just imploded. She only cared about one thing. She was finally getting the grandchild she had always wanted. The aftermath. Karen's parents disowned her the moment they found out the truth. They refused to speak to her, to support her, or even acknowledge the child. My parents took her in immediately. While I was still reeling, still processing the destruction of my life, my mother was preparing a room for Karen in our family home. She was treating my ex-fiancée like a daughter while I, her actual son, was being pushed aside. The wedding, of course, was cancelled. My parents took care of everything financially speaking, but that didn't erase the humiliation, the devastation, or the sheer betrayal. And when I refused to accept what they had done, when I refused to play happy family, I was kicked out, cut off, completely erased from their lives. For 5 years I had no contact with any of them. The only one who ever reached out was my father, and even then it was rare. Emma and I weren't close back then. To me, she was still the golden child who had benefited from the same family dynamic that had destroyed me. I had lost everything in one day. And somehow, despite all of that, my family still expected me to forgive and forget when it suited them. A lesson in betrayal, strength, and moving on. If there's one thing I've learned from this painful chapter of my life, it's this. Loyalty is a choice, and sometimes even the people closest to you will choose themselves over you. I spent years blaming myself, wondering if I could have done something differently. But the truth is, when people show you who they really are, believe them. Family isn't just about blood, it's about loyalty, respect, and love. If someone betrays you and expects you to just accept it, remember, you have every right to walk away. Healing takes time, but cutting off toxic people is the first step. Don't let guilt keep you in places where you are not valued. Does this story resonate with you? Have you ever faced betrayal from people you trusted the most? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, and comment if you believe no one should ever have to go through this alone. Let's support each other.